All right, it's time. Let's go ahead and hit it. Andesite machine. Oh wait, crap, I didn't make one. Boom, andesite machine. And we can grab all of these guys. And we've done it. We finally completed high aspirations. So now that we've done that, we can go into our overview. And we're going to go ahead and complete rubber, because we've actually done that. We can see copper machinery has opened up. We'll click on that in a moment. And then, there we go. I have go ahead and completed the Electron tube one, and that has brought us into alluring expedients, which is a whole bizarre madness down here, which is going to be automating brass machines, which we kind of did this without automating first, which was a little bit interesting, because we kind of needed it in order to automate high aspirations. And in high aspirations, we also now have probably automating... Yeah, it's automating rubber, from my understanding, because then we can automate sealed mechanisms, which get us into the whole entire copper machines and things along those lines, which we've actually indirectly done already. But let's quickly just automate all of the copper stuff. Boom, copper machine. And we got the really cool music to pop up in the background, because we have completed, I believe, the entirety of this chapter now. Perfect. So now we can claim all of these guys, which we didn't really need, considering that we've semi-automated this system, which I've set up some things kind of off camera, only a little bit, which is basically just andesite funnels, automatically pulling the things that are pressed off this depot and placing it into a storage drawer, which I think has, 16 rubber currently. So it's just going to generate rubber while I'm doing other things, and make it a little easier if we need any in the future. Also, I think it's worth noting, because I think some of you guys realize, this is a Tinker's Bronze barrel now. You just have to make bronze, which is glass and copper, I believe, inside of the Tinker's smeltery. And then it makes the barrel a little bit bigger. So I've just been storing all of my create stuff in here. But now that we've completed that whole section, it's time to go into Chapter 2. All right, so the gist of this one is kind of like what I said. At the end, we'll have, theoretically, automated brass machines. But the gist of that is that we have to create automated electron tubes, which, if you remember, I believe from the previous episode when we made it manually, they are a lot of work. So I have a feeling this will be another like 2-part episode. But that being said, the very first thing that we really need to find is skystone, which skystone dust comes from crush wheeling or milling skystone, and skystone is found from meteorite crashes that are located around the world. So if I press M, we can fly around real quick. Don't. So the only thing I can think of is it's maybe this. That looks like a huge gap into the ground. So let's go explore a little bit. Also figured it's worth noting you can make a meteorite compass, which will guide you to them with an andesite machine and a charged Certus quartz crystal, which... Yeah, you need chargers and an uncharged Certus quartz crystal, or you can crush wheel a charged Certus quartz ore. I think you would need a silk touch to get that. I could be wrong, though. Or pulverize that as well. So I'm going to try to skip that and just run over to that huge hole in the ground, because I think that would be it. But if not, we might have to go ahead and make that compass. Well, I think I found it. Oh my god. I love all the glitched out stuff that's just floating. Because this is on the border of kind of like a jungle. But I think I found it. Now, one thing I'm worried about is I don't know these mods. So I'm a little bit scared that something's going to like pop out and kill me. I'm really glad that I had a diamond pickaxe, because apparently I can't even mine it with iron. Now, I believe I just said that I've never used these mods before, but I actually have. I just did some research, because this is applied in Energistics. And... I was like, I've actually used this before, way before I made YouTube videos again. And I believe that usually somewhere in the center of these guys, which I'm going to measure out in a second, you can find inscribers. Yeah, there's the chest. And you get a logic press, an engineering press, and some skystone. And I believe that these presses are for... Yes, they're for circuits. So you need a press, which is a whole custom recipe, I believe. But you need these presses in order to make these circuits. I believe that there is a couple different types. Yes, so there's a calculation, an engineering, and a logic one. So we have found the logic and the engineering. We're just missing the calculation. So if I find another meteor and I can find the calculation one, then we could technically make all 3 of these circuits. And all of these circuits can go into making terminals, which I know gets very advanced very quickly. And I'm sure in this mod gets even more advanced. which is kind of like a storage system on steroids. I think it's the only way to describe it. But I'm going to go ahead and grab a bunch of skystone, and then we'll head back to the base. There we go. Skystone dust. Skystone dust. And we've done that one. So now we go into dissolving this strange reactive powder in water creates a fun and useful liquid. I'm honestly a little bit nervous on this one. We're going to go ahead and just make like a infinite water source somewhere over here and drop it in because it says volatile. So I don't know if it explodes when I throw this in there. So I don't want to do that too close to us. Oh, I'm an idiot. So I probably should have just looked at the recipe. We need 4 skystone dust and water and a mixer, and that turns into volatile sky solution. All right, so what we're going to do here is, because I'm starting to see that it would probably just make sense instead of testing this out first to actually just automate this process as we go. Because you can see I already got a water supply one for just getting water. And we need an infinite water source, which, lucky enough for us, we actually go ahead and probably have one right here, because this is an entire river. And we need, I believe, about 10,000 source blocks of water for it to be considered infinite. We're going to have to pull water and then place it into a mixer, and then use the mixer with automated, I guess, skystone, which, oh, never mind. It says that you can just keep pulverizing it, and skystone blocks will never seem to lose mass in the process. Oh, yeah, so this is how this works. So when we take skystone, it automatically makes another piece of skystone, so we could just have technically a couple pieces of skystone, man, this is going to be hard to talk, going around in a circle, constantly pulverizing, and whenever the dust pulls out, throw the dust into the system. All right, so the big thing that we have to do now is clear a space for the second machine, because I mean, the first machine is our entire backyard. So I'm thinking about, let's see. Yeah, let's make our second machine right in here, right in this area. Because if we could take down this little mound, then we have a pretty large flat space. And it'll allow us to basically just tackle this whole second machine. That's going to be, once again, quite difficult to get all set up. All right, much better. So all I did was clear the area, and then over here, man, I'm still losing my voice. Sorry, guys. Over here, I've set up a bunch of water wheels. Honestly, just because I know we're going to need power in the future. And I figured for this one, I'm going to start powering as we're building things. So if I run into any issues, I don't have to rebuild the whole system. So I am trying to figure out what the best way to start would be. And I feel like it depends on where we want to start, actually. So I think we're going to start with the water and the skystone, which is what we talked about before. So we need a contraption that's going to pull water out of our river to our left, river lake, and just place it into a basin. So let's go ahead and work on that real quick. So Rocket wasn't thinking when he built his power source all the way over there, which is where we're basically going to have the end of the machine, which works once the whole machine's up and running to power everything, but not in the beginning. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm just going to go off of I think that this will work. Essentially, we have a hose pulley that will lower down once it's powered into our lake, river, whatever you want to call this. And then we have a bunch of fluid pipes that connect to a mechanical pump that should pump the water out of our hose pulley, place it into our basin. We have a mixer. So then the last thing that we need to do is this guy. So we can see that all I've done here is place down a bunch of conveyor belts, some shafts. Essentially what this is just a complete circle. It'll just keep going around in a circle once it's powered. And we have a brass funnel that should be only pulling off our dust and placing it into our basin. And then over here, we have a millstone that is pulling up items, crushing it, placing it onto the belt, and continuing. At least that should work. If items go underneath, it shouldn't matter, because the only things that could be on here are our skystone dust and our skystone blocks. And that shouldn't matter. Nothing else should be on here, and I don't think I'm going to have to really add much into this conveyor belt. But once those have come into here, they're now going to mix, and they should turn into our skystone, or our sky solution, which our sky solution, there we go, needs 4 skystone dust, 500 millibuckets is I think what people said in the comments was last episode. So it turns into the volatile sky solution, which we need to then use a spout to shoot into a bucket, right? No. So once we make the sky solution, we then need to mix it in another mixer with a charged Certus quartz crystal. And then that will take it makes a regular quartz crystal and gives us destabilized redstone, which is also what we're looking for. So I guess we need another mixer. All right, so this could work. So essentially, all I've done is this basin. Theoretically, when it makes the liquid, it's going to pull with this mechanical pump and place it into this basin. Now, when I did an automated potion brewing system with Blockus a couple months ago, we ran into an issue where you actually kind of need filters. That if the water goes into here, it's immediately going to pull out and go into this basin, and that's when you need uh, a smart fluid pipe, I believe, which you can also make with copper machines. Not really that difficult. But I'm going to see if we can get away with it without this. But if that's the case, we'll replace this regular fluid pipe with a smart fluid pipe with the filter of that liquid, and it should go ahead and filter it out. If not, then we're going to run into a whole bunch of other issues, but I assume that Create's probably go ahead and figure that out. So what they've had us do here is they said to get, because of course we need crystals. They're going to go inside this basin. Is it's saying to set up a little cycle to recharge any Certus quartz used as a catalyst in contraption 13.2. So that's what we're using here as a catalyst, which is the step that we're building. And it says the charger from AE2 can be used here along with the item transportation of choice. So they mean the charger from here, which needs a whole bunch of different. Okay, so to make a charger is literally flux crystals or pure flux crystals in an andesite machine. Cool, we can do that. All right, so in order to make a flux crystal, we need a charged Certus quartz, a piece of nether quartz, and redstone. Drop it into a puddle, and then it will give you 2 flux crystals. I think so, and I believe charged Certus quartz. I don't know if we have any. All right, again, I hope this works, because this is gonna be a little interesting. So theoretically, we have our what liquid is this? We have our sky solution. It's being created. Goes into the basin. And then over here, we have another circle of just conveyor belts going around in a circle where we're going to have our Certus quartz crystals come in. They're going to get charged, turn to charged Certus quartz crystals, go around, and go back into this area where they should theoretically go into the brass funnel and pop into this basin. Now, this is where I've run into a unique little problem. And ignore that this output is happening here. That's going to go away in a moment. And that is, once this is mixed, it's then going to give us just a regular Certus quartz crystal, and we need to pull that out of the system and then go again. So I've done 2 different brass funnels here, one that's pulling charged versions in and one that's pulling non-charged versions out and then charging them. And that should work. And then over here, I'm going to go ahead and have a pipe hooked up that's going to pull the liquid out of what we needed, which is our destabilized redstone should theoretically be being pulled out and going to however we're making polished rose quartz, which, let's see, another mixer, of course, with a pure version of crystals now, which is going to be very interesting. So I guess let's go ahead and set up that system now. So I've set up our system that's pulling out our liquid from this basin. Once it's theoretically been created, same thing. If we need to, we can go ahead and replace a pipe here to be one of the smart fluid pipes to like filter liquids. But it should pull it out and place it into this basin, which is where we're going to be going ahead and making our polished rose quartz with our destabilized redstone and our pure Certus quartz crystals. And that is where we begin our other branch, which is over here, which we have not tackled. So let me go ahead and read through this really quick and just kind of see what's going on. All right, so this is going to be interesting because I don't fully understand if this could be fully automated or not. And that's because, so what we're dealing with over here is just basically we're growing crystals. And the way that you grow crystals is by using a spout and water and just placing it on top of the depot that has a previous version of a seed. And then it turns into, after you do that 4 times, turns into a tiny version. Then it turns to a small version. And then it finally turns into the pure Certus quartz crystal, which once you have that, you can take your pure Certus quartz crystal, which theoretically, once this has been done, will be shot down onto this belt, placed into our basin, which has our like liquid redstone in there, and then we're good to go. But the thing is you can't generate, to my knowledge, a Certus quartz seed, and that is because we can generate sand, but we can't generate Certus quartz dust. Again, to my knowledge. I could be wrong, but everywhere that I see, it just dives deeper and deeper, and there isn't really like a generated Yeah, to my knowledge, it still doesn't look like you can generate that part of things. That's not the biggest deal. If that's the only thing we have to add into the system, and once again, kind of like the logs, that will make it so there's a barrier. So at a certain point, it stops making these things fully automated, which is good and bad at the same time. Of course, we could just get a ton of these crystals and then just be fine for a long time. But I figured it's worth noting that. So what I've done here is basically place down a fluid tank from our water that we're gathering right in the beginning. This is going to fill with water, and then it's going to be pulled out from this mechanical pump, placed it in this basin, but also a bunch of pipes over here with another mechanical pump and placing it into the spout. Now, I believe the spout's going to need way more water than this mechanical pump, but we have a little bit of a buffer that allows us to pull from two different areas of this tank. We'll see how that works as far as if there's any bottlenecking or anything in our system. And then theoretically here, we then just have to go ahead and craft our Certus Quartz seeds, which they recommended that in the future you can do mechanical crafting to get Certus Quartz seeds, which is even more confusing now that I'm diving deeper into this, because then that would need Certus Quartz crystals or charged Certus Quartz crystals. And I believe that both of these you can't just generate from nothing. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. I might be losing it a little bit here, but the idea is that we'll place it here. It'll get shot with water 1,000 times, and then it will go into our system, and we're good to go. But now that we have theoretically this whole section completed, we have this section completed, and we have this section completed, this should now turn into polished rose quartz right inside of this basin at the very end. So now that we have polished rose quartz, we have to continue with this whole section, which in order to do this, it's going to be another weirder type of recipe involving a spout, molten iron, and polished rose quartz will turn into an electron tube, which we'll just do this system of a spout and a depot somewhere in here. And the making of the molten iron is going to come all the way from cobblestone, which we're then going to generate, making an iron generator, and then use that to go ahead and make our molten iron. All right, let's show you guys the madness that Rocket has just figured out. So we're going to kind of walk backwards because, of course, our very end product that we need here is our electron tubes. And our electron tubes are going to be the molten iron that we are making from this side. So we're basically pumping molten iron from a seared melter, which below that is a seared heater. And I'm not really a Tinker's Construct expert, but this should work. The seared heater is essentially just a fuel source, kind of like a furnace. So I've thrown logs into there, and then the seared melter takes any type of item that could be melted, and then we'll turn it into like ingots or things like that. And theoretically, when it pulls to a liquid, we're going to be able to pull it out via pump and place it into a spout, and that will be seared iron. Now, this is where we come to how are we getting the iron, and if we take some steps back, all the way back over to here, this is a cobblestone generator that we have going here. So we have a lava source that's placed on top. We have 3 drills that are kind of hidden, but they are aimed at... you know what? I can break these actually for you guys. They're aimed at stone, which is actually being generated currently, because on the opposite side of the drills is actually 3 cobblestone stairs, if you look at the top of the screen, that just are waterlogged. So water, lava connecting together, creating stone, and when the drills are turned on, it will basically mine these, place it down onto the belt. The belt will carry that into a millstone, which will mill cobblestone and turn it to gravel. The gravel will then be washed via the encased fan. And then here, I just have a brass funnel with a filter that is filtering to pull out gravel and pull out iron nuggets. And below, we have a smart chute that is just taking flint and throwing it into lava that I've put below that. So that should make it so only iron nuggets are being passed into our system. I think it's also worth noting that I have a brass funnel here with no filter, and that is just so I'm pulling out any bit of cobblestone I possibly can, or any bit of gravel out of the system. But I also made it brass just in case I need to throw a filter on it, but I don't think I do. I think it will process it and then pull it out, but if I need to, I can put a filter there. But that should theoretically pull our iron and place it onto our spout, or place it onto our depot. And now for the final magic trick, we need to go ahead and do our sequenced assembly line again, which is going to be a little interesting. We'll see what happens. I think someone in my comments actually said, hey, Rocket, why are you using 2 different deployers when you could definitely just use one deployer that's going to press things twice and then pass it to a screwdriver one? But I think I'm going to do 3 anyways, just because of it'll give me a headache if I don't do something like that. So let's go ahead and set that up really quick. So our next step is a little bit of a problem here, and I hope that if you guys are following along, that you guys don't do what I did here, because this is going to make it so if I want to really automate this thing, it's going to be a lot of work. So I separated these two processes because I thought that the first precision mechanism or kinetic mechanism didn't connect to the second one, but that's our main ingredient here. Is we need kinetic mechanisms to be placed with the deployers, and then from there it will turn it into a kinetic mechanism via two or V2. So I think what I'll do here is make it manual. Again, this will make it so it's not always converting all of our first mechanisms to our second ones. But still, that's kind of worth noting. If you want to make a fully automated process the whole way through, then we're going to have to do that. So I kind of have to make a section that's going to take the kinetic mechanisms in via like a storage drawer, a chest, and then it's going to go along a belt with the electron tubes that we're generating here. And then the last one will be a screwdriver and then turn into our mechanism. Also, I think I have to move our water wheels over closer to us because it looks like we didn't need that much space, which I thought we needed a lot more. All right, it has been a long journey, as you can probably tell from my face. I'm a little bit exhausted after this one, but it works. So I'm gonna run you through, as you can see, I'm literally getting a ton of achievements right now. I'm gonna run you through how this entire madness is working because it's a lot. So let's start all the way in the beginning. We'll just use our advancements of let's start here. So we have our water supply with our pipe that is being pumped up from the bottom. You can see right from the bottom, pumping water and placing it into our tank, which is actually being used right away. And I have engineer's goggles on to help us with all these liquids. And once we have our water, it is going right into our basin right here with a mixer. Now on the side, we have this step going, which is our Skystone Infinite Mill, which is essentially an infinite Skystone dust generator, where I just have a single piece of Skystone that gets placed into our millstone, and you can see it's actually grinding it right now. And once it grinds that, it goes ahead and turns into Skystone dust and Skystone as well, and then goes through the system. And the Skystone dust gets picked up and placed into this basin, while the stone blocks go back around the system. So you can see right there, the block continues to go, dust was pulled into this system. Now, right here, I have a smart fluid pipe that is set to the filter of a bucket of the Skystone liquid, which is right here, which it's called Sky Solution bucket, with this smart fluid pipe that's then pumping that into this basin. Now, let's find our way to the other side real quick. And our next basin right here is where we're going to go ahead and try to create our charged mixer, which, as we're going through this, I'm going to start checking off these steps. So our charged mixer, which is making destabilized redstone buckets, or just the solution, needs a mix of the black liquid that I had before that goes into here, and it needs a mix of our charged Certus quartz. So the way that this works is that we throw a Certus quartz into our system. It goes into our charger over here, gets charged, comes back around, and then is pulled back into the system once it's a charged version of itself. There we go. Much better. I couldn't get it to work for a second. So we have a Stirling dynamo that is charging our crystals inside of the charger. And once they are charged, it's going to go ahead and go around our belt right over here and be placed into our basin. At least theoretically it should, which it actually just did right there. We can see that we have our crystals inside of this basin. And then once that is complete, it will turn into our destabilized redstone. I believe that's what it's called. There we go. All right, it didn't want to turn into anything, and I believe that was, there we go, now it's turning into it. That was because I accidentally right-clicked and set the filter to the basin to something random. I thought I was losing it there for a second. But yes, to go over it again, we have a Stirling dynamo that is using a charger to charge our crystals and then go in the basin. Now, I tried to use an energy cell to store power, but I haven't used these things before. Didn't seem to work. Maybe let me know if there's a way to like store power, because right now this is just smelting logs. But you can see once it goes through here, it turns into our redstone liquid, and our redstone liquid is being placed into our next basin. Now, the next basin is from this step, if I can open it on up for us, which we can see is our sand, our temporary sand, which we kind of skipped and just made manual for the time being. And this is where we have our quartz seeds. Then we have they basically grow over and over and over until they turn into our pure quartz seeds, which all of that is done from just placing water over and over and over on these seeds until it turns into one of these pure Certus quartz, which you can see it's making plenty, so we're actually good. And once that mixes with the redstone, it turns into polished rose quartz. And you can see right here, it turns, or gets placed onto a depot. And this begins our next step, which I might as well check this off, and we'll end up grabbing one of these in a moment, where we are making our iron. We're generating our iron that turns to molten iron, which I'll pick that up real quick just for that advancement. And that is all from our cobblestone generator that's happening right in here. So just a bunch of power to cobblestone generators. Cobblestone is being milled to turn to gravel. Gravel is turning into flint or iron nuggets. And then the iron nuggets are being placed into our melter, which, okay, good. We haven't run out of logs yet for this. And then that turns to molten iron, which then is shot onto our polished rose quartz, which turn into electron tubes. Now, we have not made one just yet, so we might be bottlenecking just a tiny bit. We'll have to run through our system. But the gist of it is once we have a ton of polished rose quartz, they go into both of these deployers first. They get placed onto these belts, as you can see. Ooh, maybe this is the issue. Because see what it's done here is it's put a polished rose quartz into this hand and not into this hand. There we go. I actually figured out the problem that was here, which is our andesite funnel just wasn't placed here. So it was actually just going right into the chute, never going to the other chute. Which is totally fine, because let's see if we test this out. This might still go into the first one. Yeah, it does, because we only have one. But as it generates the rest of these items, it will go ahead and create more electron tubes, and then that should be good to go. So what we need to do now is I've actually checked off all of these advancements, and we just need some more precision mechanism chapter 2s, I guess. And we can make this brass machine, and then we've successfully completed the entire brass age in a single episode. I think I'm going a little insane. There we go, our brass machine. And now I can collect all of these lovely things right here with extra Certus quartz, brass ingots, precision mechanisms, all of those odds and ends. And if we go to the overview, we can see that we are now moving to either chapter 2A or to chapter 3. Cool, so this has now moved us on to kind of a nether area, which we will probably begin in the next episode. Which includes everything from blaze burners to heated treatment, to it looks like we need different types of vines, a soul distillery, a lot of lava, and then at the end we're making a zinc machine, which I wonder, let's see what it can be. Looks like it can make cable facades, and a variety of like mega torches, drawer controllers, and a lot of other crazy odds and ends that I don't even know what it is, to be honest. And then we've also unlocked the catharsis? I don't know. Which is everything from refined radiance to, I guess, toxic byproducts to maybe mob generation? Yeah, monster spawners of some kind. Man, this is nuts. We have dove deep into some craziness. Hey, thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and feel free to check out the next episode. It should be on that side of the screen. Oh my god, I pointed correctly for once. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.